I'm dealing with a 22 Nissan Rouge 3-cylinder. This is a good car that I'm comparing to a bad car that I will show you the video of. I'm looking at an E1. This is idling in park of about 1.38 mg. I'm simply got the magnetic sensor hooked to the seat bolt on the inside, and we are at idle. You see about 760 RPMs. The car that I'm trying to fix is a 22 that had an engine put in it and has a pretty nasty vibration at idle. This is my feet moving around in the floor. I don't know if you can hear me stomping them. These things are very, very sensitive, so just a quick note, be careful when you're moving around in the car. You could get some weird readings. Notice the E.5, that would be your misfires, and then your 1.5, that's kind of the natural firing of a 3-cylinder engine. You get roughly 1 spark event per 1.5 crank rotations. It's actually pretty low. I have the scale kind of zoomed in. It looks very high, but ultimately you're only about less than 4 mg. So this is for comparison. I'm at 1.38. Now I'm going to go look at the bad car. Hang on. All right, so I've moved across the shop. This is the same recording from the good car, so I'm just going to hit resume. I've got the magnets set up on the seat bolt exactly like the other car, and let's just see where this one's at. You can see right off the bat. Let me scale this down a little bit. The good car was right here at 1.38, and my suspect car is, let's drop a cursor down. We're at 11.7, and both cars are hot, idling in park. I'm trying to compare apples to apples. This car, the problem car, has a brand new engine in it. It's also had a transmission side mount put on it. The mount didn't actually help much. You can see that E.5 is low, so I'm not dealing with a misfire. The 1.5, I don't remember what the other motor was, but that's kind of a natural occurring thing. But we have an engine vibration. It's a first order vibration, so something that is turning with crankshaft speed is creating a little bit of an imbalance. If I rev it, it gets a little better. If I put it in gear, it kind of gets a little better, but it's just this idle in park, and the RPMs are roughly about the same, 758, 760. So this is what I'm fighting. I'm going to do a few more videos where I'm going to move this sensor around and show you motor mounts versus engine vibration, and then hopefully we'll get to some sort of fix on this thing. Stay tuned. So first off, I want to give a shout out to the guys that actually turned the wrenches on this vehicle. This car was a real pain in the butt. There was a lot of heavy mechanical labor that went into this. I was the guy pushing buttons, talking on phone, sending emails, and testing a lot of known good cars. So my hat's off to the guys that actually put hands on this, got dirty, and got this vehicle fixed. This is an NVH case study. It is a 2022 Nissan Rouge. It has a variable compression 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder. The backstory is this car got to us originally. The original engine in this car was blown up, for lack of better words. It literally, I think, had coolant running out of the exhaust. It was filling up the cylinders with coolant. So a new engine got put in, exhaust system got replaced, and all the little parts and pieces that go along with doing that job. The engine got started, it was driven, and from what I hear, it drove decently, had power, made no noise, but had one nasty vibration in neutral or park when you're sitting in a bay. You could physically see it and feel it in the car. Doing a case study like this, it's going to be hard for me to show you, but I do have some shop videos that you may be able to see. I'm not going to make this video about a how-to use the NVH. I'm sure there's lots of videos out there. I know Pico Automotive has a lot of very good videos that would go beyond the scope of what I would be able to show you, or I would probably forget a bunch of stuff. But there is a couple things I do want to tell you about that are kind of important. When you first start this up, after you enter in your vehicle information, I'm doing a 3-cylinder. It's an inline motor. I didn't worry about tire sizes or any of that because I'm not really driving it. All this stuff can be put in after the capture and it'll work fine. You could put in pulley sizes, gear ratios, rear ends. All that stuff can be added after the fact. But up here under options, advanced options, your markers, I think it defaults to 5, and I'll show you what they are. You can raise it up as many as you want. But I want you to go to features, and you need to click enable advanced features. And what that does is it allows you to add more time. If that box is not clicked, I think the software defaults to 50 seconds of recording time. When you allow it, I have 181 seconds, so I've got 3 minutes of recording time. I don't know what the maximum is, but it will record quite a bit of information for you. So with that being said, let's go to record and analyze. So here's my capture. As you saw in the video, all I did was take a good car versus a bad car, and it's all on this capture. The rulers are here. It defaults to 5. If you could put 7, 8, 9, I don't know how many you can put up there. The other thing is, they call this frequency view. Let's look at this real quick. If you grab this, you can kind of turn it. Here's your time over here, your time scale. You can't really measure time with this. This just tells you within the 3-minute capture how many. Everything's with seconds or hertz with this. But you can turn it, and you can see it 67.7. If you follow this across, it was this high. It draws a nice line for you. But when you turn it and you kind of look at it straight ahead, kind of like that, and what you're seeing is the last one, that's what the frequency view is. You're just looking at the last one. Imagine, all the rest of them are behind it. I would rather they call this a spectrum view, but it's a frequency view, and just remember that's what it is. Some people like the bar graph. That's personal preference. I personally like the frequency view. This is the good car. It is sitting in my bay. Every test I've done, I'm only showing you one file from one car. I tested the bad car against 3 other known good cars. Everything is in park, fully warmed up, idling. And I used the little accelerometer, and I was very diligent on making sure it was in the exact same place on all the cars, oriented correctly on all the cars. I want to check apples to apples because this was kind of a pain in the butt, and we had to make a really hard decision on this. So all of this little area through here before this marker, and if you use your keyboard, and I think if you hit M anytime in here, it puts up a little flag to kind of let you know where you're at. I'm looking at the E1. So I'm going to just pull a cursor down. 1.39 mg. This is literally with the accelerometer on the seat rail inside of the car. This is a good car. And you could hit play right here, and it'll kind of go up and down a little here and there. And I don't know if you saw in the video, if you move your feet around in the floorboard, like I did right there, that was me stomping my feet, you could see how sensitive this thing is. So just be leery of that. The 1.5, that's a natural firing frequency of a 3-cylinder. Just like if it were a 6-cylinder, it would be an E3 would be natural because you're firing 3 cylinders per revolution. A 3-cylinder, you're doing about 1.5, and then your misfires are down here. If you were to unplug a coil, this E.5 would kind of rise up because it would be misfiring. So this E1 in this good car is very acceptable. This car was fine. It exhibited no vibrations, was really smooth. Now I'm going to go over here on the other side of this green marker, and now this is my bad car. Kind of off the screen, it's easy to scale this. You just kind of grab, and you could stretch it out this way if you want, or you could look at more. You got to be careful where you grab. You could look at more or less on your timeline. Just remember, wherever the yellow is what you're seeing. So this is my bad car. There again, hot, idling in park, and this car had a wicked vibration in it. So 12.7, that's there again on the seat rail. And you can see the delta over here, good car versus bad car, was 11.2 difference. So that's quite a bit of difference and a very, very noticeable vibration. In the next little series of in-shop videos, you're going to see where I'm going to show you where I've moved the accelerometer around a bit. The second video, or this would be the second video clip, I'm going to be showing you the underneath of a car at the transmission mount. But pay attention at how much that engine's vibrating. You can kind of see it really good in that shop video. And that's with a brand new transmission mount on the transmission side. This engine really, really had a shaking to it. So I'm going to get off here, put the next couple of videos up, and then we will talk about the captures that I get from there. So this is the bad car. You can kind of see how the engine's shaking right here. So on some of the captures I'm going to show you, I'm using this bolt and comparing to this bolt. And I'm also moving it up to here on bad and the good cars. I didn't film myself actually doing it, but those are going to be my hookup spots, and you'll see the distinct differences between good and bad. I still don't know what's wrong with this engine, but I'm confident it's not a misfire. And the main trans mount over here that usually goes bad is replaced, but there was nothing wrong with it. Just for the record, that mount right there where the light beam is, that's a mount that we generally see go bad. But this one has been replaced, and the vibration is still there. So if you ever get one of these in and it feels like a misfire, but you don't have any misfire counts, take a good look at this mount. A lot of times the liquid inside will leak out, and it'll be really nasty kind of around that bolt. It's a good sign that they go bad. So this is my good vehicle, and you can kind of tell that this engine doesn't shake near as bad as the other one. And like I said before, when you see the good or the comparing, I'm simply going from here to here. And I can't remember if I'm up here too, but I'm just taking the magnet, keeping it oriented correctly, just like I did on the seat bolt, and trying to compare apples to apples. So this would be the good car that I was testing when you'll see the file. So this is the file of the good car when I'm actually checking the motor mount. You saw in the video that I use the accelerometer kind of on the engine side, and then on the mount side. You know, the mount is there to kind of sponge out vibrations. I forgot to mention that if you do hover over these little black dots, you'll get a question mark. If you click on it, you'll get a little description, and of course you can click for more information. You have to excuse me, I've been fighting a allergy deal going on, so bear with me. I forgot to mention this also, advanced options. Make sure that you have this number big enough. Like, I'm looking at very low frequency stuff around 12 to 13 hertz, but if you're listening to noises, air noises, things like that, you're going to need to crank this frequency up quite a bit. Just make sure that it's up high enough to catch the noise you're trying to catch. You know, you're up, I mean, 2000 would be fine. I I can't remember. The human ear can hear up to like 13 or 1500. Mine's probably like 900, but little things like that could keep you from having to do another test drive. The engine's idling, and what I'm going to do here is, like I said, this is a bolt. This is the bolt that's directly measuring the engine vibration, and I'm at 83 mg. The other couple of cars I checked were anywhere between 60 and this one's 83. I had one car that was like 72, you know, so I'm just kind of averaging here. And the other cars were very smooth inside. And then I take and just simply move the magnet. If I can grab this. This thing can be a pain to get it to move. There we go. And then I move the magnet over to the, you know, the motor mount side. Basically, I'm just looking at the difference between the engine vibration and what the motor mount is absorbing. So we can just check anywhere in here. So I'm down to 5.6. So we went from 83 down to 5.6. So the delta is 77.1. So that mount on the good car is doing its job. It's basically removing the bulk of the vibration. And then on this same car, I think we were down to 1.39 inside of the car. So the frame of the car, you know, the structural parts of the car is even reduced that vibration down to less than 2. So I took the same information and then I go to my bad car. So remember 83 and 5.86. I'm going to write it down. And then let's take a peek at the bad car. One thing nice about the dealership is 23 Rogue, where am I at? Is I do have access to a lot of cars that are the same. So that is one blessing about working at the car dealer, is I can get a hold of you know, known good. This thing right here is extremely picky. I'm just trying to get a small window into here so we can compare. So here's the engine, the new bad engine, directly on the engine side, and I'm at 118, and you can physically see this engine shake. If I took a pry bar and I pushed against these mounts and put a little pressure on these mounts, I could get this number to drop. But the engine still was shaking. So getting that vibration to not be felt by putting pressure was simply band-aiding the real problem. I think if we would have put another new mount on that old engine, it might have brought these numbers down, but the engine still is physically vibrating. There's still something out of balance in this engine. An E1 is a vibration that's turning at crankshaft speed. So it's the harmonic balancer, the crankshaft itself, the flywheel, the torque converter, anything that is spinning at crankshaft speed. And in this case, 12.7 hertz. And everything is in seconds with this. See, we're measuring RPM down here. Just another tip, if you have an ATS scan tool, the dongle for the ATS scan tool works fine with NVH. I can tell you the Snap-on does not. We do have a Mongoose cable, but this is all Bluetooth, and that's one less cable out from around my feet. So any of you ATS scan tool users, it works fine with the Pico software. But if you just take 12.7 and multiply it by 60, you're going to get 762, which is really close to our RPM, 757. So everything is in seconds. When you're dealing with hertz, it's seconds. Mechanics think of RPM. NVH software thinks of seconds. So let's move it over here. And this is where I'm testing the mount. I'm on the good side of the mount. So let's get these guys off the screen. And let's drive it down here. So I'm at 12.9 on the good side of the mount, which is 105 mg difference. So that passenger side engine mount is, my opinion, is doing everything it can. It has removed more vibration than the good car. The good car started out at 83 and went down to 5, which was a 77 difference here. The bad car is starting out at 118, dropping to 12.9 with a 105. And then remember, inside of my car was, I think, 12.7 on the seat. So this car physically could not absorb all the vibrations. It was getting into the passenger compartment. That's what I said. If you put pressure on this mount, these numbers would get better. The vibration would damn near go away, but you're not fixing the vibration. That was my point. That was what I was trying to get across to all the field support engineers and the tech people, and they understood what I was saying, and I understand it was hard for them to see and feel because they're over the phone, and I'm spitting raw data. This is all data. It's not me thinking, yeah, it's kind of bad. I don't feel like this car. That all works. This works better. This is numbers. And it's proven right there that something is wrong with this engine that our mounts can't sponge out. So with all that being said, we are going to move on to some videos where I started doing some testing on the car. I did my best to film it. I'm looking for anything obvious. I've told everybody, you can't see a vibration. You can look at a tire, and as long as it doesn't have physical knots or bends in the wheels, it could vibrate like hell at 70 miles an hour, but you just can't physically look at it with your eyes until it's out of balance. And that's where I'm kind of with this car. You know, I can check the balancer, I can look at it, I can take the drop belts off. I did some weird measuring that I'm going to show you. I basically came up with nothing that I could physically see other than the data that this software is getting me. So on that note, real quick, these little micro probes, if you don't have these, you need to try them. These once I found these are the only ones I use. Man, they really get into the connectors good. Auto Nerds just started stocking these. I say just started. I don't know. He's had them for about a month or so, maybe longer. I think it's $19. I took a screenshot off of their website and I accidentally cut the price off right there. They are not $1. I'm pretty sure they were $19, but click the link in the description box and go find them. These things are pretty awesome. Sometimes I have to trim this back just a little bit so I can get deeper into some of the weather pack connectors. But give those things a try if you really need some good back probes. You guys don't need to see that. So I'm going to show you some more in-shop videos, and then we're going to get to the fix. And thank you guys for watching this far. It's been a while since I put out a video. Had a lot going on in the world, but we're back, and we're going to try to get things done. All right, so took the drop belt off. We had no change. This engine is new, as I've said. This pulley came on it. Just for the hell of it, I looked at the old pulley, and up here, I doubt you can see it, but these are kind of the alignment notches, and about directly across, I guess this is the weight. I compared this one to the old one. They're really the same. I don't see any stress marks like this has slipped. So I'm gonna move on. Not sure I'm going to next. The amplitude of the vibration, if I put the magnet on the oil pan bolt, is less than if I put it on the transmission bolt. So I don't know. I'm thinking converter's cocked. I'm not 100% sure the pilot bearing or bushing got put in it correctly or even got put in it. But these are all things I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about taking the starter out, loosening converter bolts, and just see what I see. So I'm pretty certain the problem's not on the front, unfortunately, so we're gonna have to keep going. All right, guys, I'm trying to prove out something here. I've got a dial indicator kind of on the torque converter, which I'll show you. Up here I have a yellow mark. It's on the timing indicator, and when I get exactly 180 down in this area, I have my most deflection, and the engine gets tight right there. And I have all the spark plugs out to kind of eliminate compression. So watch this. Right in here, it's actually getting really tight. Not really tight, but I have to put more effort in it, and that's with no spark plugs. And I've got about 6 thousandths run out. And what I've noticed is on my maximum run out, without even looking, I'm about 180. And then when I roll it back up, it goes back to 0, and the engine gets really easy to turn right up there. So that's how I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm just going to focus you guys right here, and I'm just turning it. I have no idea where that yellow mark is. Now the crank just got stupid easy to turn. You see, it's working it back to 0, and without even looking at the crank, I'm going to stop right there. I was a little over, but something's definitely out around, or the runouts, either the crankshaft itself or the torque converter or something. So I gotta keep testing. All right, guys, just to clarify, that last video was terrible. I had my dial indicator in here. This is where the crank sensor goes, and I was able to find a spot on the torque converter, and as I was turning the engine with the ratchet, I had about 6 thousandths run out while reading off the torque converter. I don't know if you can see in there if this is going to make it worse, but I know that last video was horrible, so I just wanted to make this one to clarify it. And also what I was doing is, as you can see that yellow mark, probably better now, as I was rotating it around. I'll tell you what good is a magnet light when it doesn't work. It's lined up with the timing pointer, and as I would rotate it around, it was getting stiff about 180, and that's also where the maximum run out was. And then once I got back around, it got easier. So just wanted to make this little video to clarify the last video, because you damn sure couldn't see the dial indicator. So this is the new bad engine. The pilot bearing was in it correctly. Some other tests I did was I checked the crankshaft in play. It was well within specs. I took all these bolts out, removed the flywheel, and checked the run out on the crankshaft. Virtually no run out on this end of the crankshaft. Like I explained in the other video, I had my dial indicator up through here, and I was checking the run out of the torque converter. I don't think that's a valid test, but I'm kind of trying to think out of the box and figure this thing out without, you know, taking a silly wild guess. I did have 6 thousandths run out. That run out was not in the crankshaft, so it may just be the shell of the torque converter. I know that all the weights appeared to be on the torque converter, and the customer said that they didn't have any issues prior to this engine, so we had to assume that everybody's being honest and the torque converter was not out of balance, so we decided to go with an engine. I feel like something's wrong with the crankshaft in this motor. This is a variable compression engine. It kind of changes the throw of the rods a little to change the compression slightly. You could do some research and figure out how all this works. There's other videos on it. I'm not going to go into it too much. But ended up putting a new engine in it, another new engine, and you'll see the results that
you know, the new engine's even smoother than some of the known goods that I was testing. So this has been quite the project. I'm sorry I couldn't video this as I was doing it, but you know, sometimes time is money, and this project has been going on long enough, so this is a little after the fact video, but some of the tests I was doing. Thanks, I appreciate y'all watching. All right guys, this is another brand new engine. It's running. You can see my RPMs are fluctuating, and that's live. I'm looking at my E1, which is 39.9, we'll just say 40, and I'll show you my hookup point. I'm right here on this side of the mount. This is what I call the good side. This is the engine side, and this brand new engine, second brand new engine, is running about half of the E1 as the old brand new engine. Now if I move it to here, which what I call the good side of the mount, we're really far down on the I don't even know if I can do this with one finger, but you can see we are down to like 3 mg. So this is a fix, man. What a pain. Something definitely wrong with the old engine. I don't know. I'm going to show you the old engine and show you some of the tests that I did with it in the car. I ran out of stuff to test. We came to the decision that something was out of balance with that engine. So this is the new engine. I'm going to call this a fix. I'm going to get you a shot on the inside of the car with it on the seat rail, and we're going to see what it's down to then. Now we're on the inside of the car. I'm hooked up down here on the seat rail, and I'm going to hit go. And as you can see, this thing is down to 2.39. We're still hot idling in park at 750. So this car is fixed, and it just feels tremendously better than the old engine. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. This has been this car's been here for, gosh, I think upwards of a month and a half at this point, and I'm just glad to see it smooth and hopefully leaving for good. Thanks for watching.
So I'll make this as quick as possible. This is the after capture, and what I've got is the engine side here, the mount side, and then inside the car. So you've seen the video by now. E1, we're at 37.4. I think the old engine was at like 118. Then we move over here to the good side of the mount, and wow, look at the drop. So we'll bring this down. So we're at 2.8. Now I'm just taking little measurements at various places. I mean, you could look through here and find some higher and lower. I just kind of grab a quick measurement. So this is the engine side. This is the good side of the mount. So we really removed quite a bit. The mount's not working nowhere near as hard because we're not starting out with a big vibration. So, and then here's the seat inside the car in the on the seat rail. Let's just move this one down. So there's our delta there. So 2.8 on the good side of the mount, and then by the time you go through the structure of the car, we're down to 1.77, whereas the original first bad engine, I think, was 12.7. So very interesting case study, extremely time consuming, and one hell of a lot of work for the guys in the shop to switch this motor out twice. So Pico NVH, gotta love it. For all you Nissan technicians out there, you should have this kit. Get it out, use it, and just remember this: when you plug XYZ from the little box into ABC of the Pico box, the little box doesn't turn on. The minute you thread either the microphone or the accelerometer in it, the little red light's going to come on, and now the little NVH box is running. It has an internal battery in it. My advice is, if you're not using it, unscrew it so it doesn't run that battery down. It is not powered by the laptop. It's powered by an internal battery. So don't store it. Don't take a shortcut and don't unhook that accelerometer or that microphone, because it will kill that battery. With that being said, if you guys need to buy an NVH kit, go check out my guys at Auto Nerds. The little probes are on there, and there's a handful of other new stuff he's put on there. Link in the description box, and thank you very much for sticking with me through this little hiatus, and I will see you on the next video.